Give these people air.
Welcome back to Viewmasters. I am Ed Darty, joined by Rusty Stark. Rusty, how's it going?
You got a lot of nerve showing your face around here.
Wow, look who's talking.
Oh, you're
This
good.
Is probably our most quoted film of all time. And finally to do an episode on Total Recall. Wow.
It's been like 3 years in the making. It's about time.
It is about time. But before we get into that, Rusty, I got to tell you, I'm pissed off. I'm in a bad mood today.
Damn. What's going on with you?
There was an active shooter on my block, 1 block away, and waiting by the door, and the police don't come to get me to solve it. I would have just gone in there, kicked that door down, taken the guy out, and then I would have been walking away, and I would have been like, hey guys, one last thing, rate and review. And the cop's like, oh, I hate it when he says that.
I'm just thinking, how many steps away from you being the active shooter? It's got to be close.
It was 1 block away. Next week it'll be 1 block closer.
Did you see the person, or you just saw a whole bunch of police?
My street was all blocked off, and I was like, "What is this?" Then I look on the app Citizen, and I see that it was a shooter who then barricaded themselves. And finally back on the app. They banned me, but they let me back on.
So all the people that are on that app, all the racists, you're the one that gets banned? How did that happen?
I agree. It's ridiculous. I was making cannibalistic threats. I was telling this racist guy that I was going to cook him and eat him. And then boom, I was gone. 8666 was silenced.
I love that you always use Eddie too. I don't know about you, but this is one of my all-time favorite films.
Watching it 2 hours ago, once he gets to Mars, I do feel like things aren't as good.
Yeah, I agree.
But every scene leading up to that is so iconic and so good, and just like the music, everything works in this film.
I definitely agree with everything you're saying with that.
My very first LA roommate, Dave, we used to always play Grand Theft Auto after, I'd come home from film school. He was an elementary school teacher. And we played Grand Theft Auto. We had a great time. But one day he was sick from work, and he watched the special features on Total Recall, and he saw the address on the script, and it was on the same street that we lived on, El Cerrito. So this was written on my former block.
Who was the one that wrote the script on your block? There's a few different writers.
I'm hoping it was Dan O'Bannon and Ronald Shusett.
I don't know who that is.
The other guy who I never heard of.
Who?
Dan O'Bannon and Shusett are the other guys who are they were a creative team.
Oh, okay. Everybody knows Dan.
I believe they were roommates who came up with Alien and Total Recall together, in the 70s.
Total Recall's been around for a while before it got made.
Yes,
it has worked for a long time.
Originally based on a story by Philip K. Dick called "We Can Remember It for You Wholesale." Never loved that title, even as a kid.
Really, I kind of like it.
Douglas Quayle was the name of the character.
Don't love that. Story. I don't love that name.
No. Arnold was like, "Quayle has to go. It's a bird."
He did have a lot of control of the movie.
He did. He did a great job.
He did do a great job. Trust Arnold. Did you actually ever read the Philip K. Dick story?
I don't think so, but maybe I did.
You need to go to Recall to find out.
I never even read that story. I mean, I feel like so much media I've consumed, I need Recall to remember. If someone put a gun to my head and they were like, "Tell us the plot of 100 Years of Solitude," I'd be like, okay. Is it too easy to say it involves solitude? I know they're in Colombia. I read it. I remember the first line, but I can't remember anything else.
I read that so long ago. I can't even remember the first line. So hats off to you for that.
Hey, something about years later when he was to face the firing squad, General, he'd always remember that day his father took him to discover ice. Something like that. And then I don't remember anything else. I remember it was about a family. At some point, someone flies away.
What about Love and Time of Cholera? Didn't you read that a bunch of times?
I did, yeah. That one I know very well.
Okay.
Which now that book has been completely canceled. because it's all about like an 80-year-old man who's like with a 13-year-old girl, and he's like, I love her.
At least your mind hasn't been totally fucked yet. You still can recall that one.
Rusty, why don't you take us through the cast of this film?
I mean, where to begin? There's so many big names in this, but of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger as the lead.
Now, is this like the pinnacle of Arnold?
I would say I think this probably is my favorite Arnold role. So yeah, I mean, he did T2. T2 was after this one, right? Right after? Or
Yeah,
did he have
because it's
something
like
in between?
91, right? This is 90, June 1st, 1990.
Did you actually see this in the theaters?
I remember it well. My brother saw it opening night, and then he came home and told me all about it. And then I had my dad take me. And I remember we went to the theater, like Roosevelt, not Roosevelt Raceway, I think the other one.
Mm.
But I think it was like in Westbury. I remember like looking, we bought our tickets, and then like all the shows were sold out. My father was like, Edward, Arnold's got another big hit.
I love your dad's take on movies.
He loved when a movie was a blockbuster. And he loved defying he's like, Hook is going to be huge. They don't know what they're talking about.
Wait, how did you two react when you saw the three-breasted lady?
He said, I wish I had three hands, Edward. You know, the weird thing about that line is that Benny doesn't even have two hands, as we learn later. We'll get to that later. But
Yeah.
Benny, only has one hand and a mutant hand. So when he said, I wish I had three hands, it's truer than Arnold knows.
Yeah. Your whole
More
life's a dream.
insights, more insights like that to come.
As a kid, this appealed to every 13-year-old kid.
Oh yeah.
The technology in this movie, the ladies, the action.
The ladies, oh my God. So Melina, played by Rachel Ticotin. Is that how you say her name?
I think it's Ticketon.
Ticketon, okay.
That's how Arnold says it. So
has always been a mysterious figure for me, because it seems like she was in this, she was in Falling Down. I believe she was in the film FX.
FX or FX2? I feel like
FX2, actually.
Okay.
I believe she's in FX2.
Yeah. And then what happened to her? Where did her career go?
I'm looking at it now. She's actually done a lot more than I thought. She was on Lost. She was on NCIS, Law and Order. And she was in both Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants films. Okay. I was on the set of part 2. I practically know her.
Do you remember her at all from the set?
No, I mean, she wasn't. I don't think she was there.
Wait, I've seen.
I was there.
I'm ashamed to say, but I've seen every episode of Lost. I don't remember her in that. Surely I would have been able to pick her out.
She was the smoke monster.
I knew it. Laurie Quaid's wife, our fictional wife, is Sharon Stone.
This is her breakthrough performance, which set her up for Basic Instinct. I can't remember what else she was in before this.
I remember her very clearly from Police Academy 4. If you remember that one,
Citizens on Patrol. I lived it. I used to love that one. I wanted to read this one bit of IMDb trivia about Sharon Stone.
Oh, go on. You love IMDb. That's your source for everything.
After seeing Sharon Stone's performance as Laurie in this movie, Verhoeven would cast her in the movie Basic Instinct due to her ability to play a character that could change from timid, charming sweetheart to a diabolical person and back again at a moment's notice. He also stated that this is the way Sharon Stone is in real life. I love that trivia.
Richter, played by Michael Ironside, I believe.
Michael Ironside in one of the great, there's like always the over villain, and then there's kind of like the mad dog villain who's going at it, and one of the great ones.
You know, I have to say, Michael Ironside is so good in this role that he's so hateable that as a kid, I hated him as an actor, thinking that was his personality in real life. You've seen him, right? You've seen him in a Q&A or something?
I saw him in a Q&A, and I believe I talked about this in a previous episode, but he talked about, so it was at the David Cronenberg Beyond Fest event, and he was talking about scanners, and the Q&A person was like, oh, how did you prepare for this role? And he's like, well, my sister actually had these powers. She could make things float around the room. She had telekinesis. And he was completely serious. And it was so clear the Q&A person was like, what do I do now?
Is it just that Michael Ironside, he's just so along in his career that he's just like, I'm just going to fuck with this crowd. I'm just going to say that.
I don't know. I think he believed it. Famously Canadian, and appears in a lot of films, which I like.
I mean, his other big role is Starship Troopers. I think people mostly known from that one
Yeah,
as well.
and Scanners, yeah.
Scanners, yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger noticed that Michael Ironside was constantly on the phone between takes. When he broached the subject with Ironside, he was told that he was phoning his sister who was currently suffering from cancer. Arnold
Ah,
immediately brought Michael to his trailer and they had an hour-long three-way conversation with Ironside's sister about what exercises she should do and what kind of food she should be eating. Ironside has never forgotten Schwarzenegger's kindness, and neither has his sister, who I guess is still alive.
wow, good for her. Maybe she was telepathically or kinetically moving things across the room to make herself better.
Oh,
Very,
true. Yeah. I mean, I get that power probably comes with a major price.
it does.
W-
The other big one from
yeah,
this
oh, go on.
movie
Yeah.
is your your lookalike Dean Norris, who plays Tony the Mutant.
I feel like I have learned that that's Dean Norris and forgotten a million times in my life. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
I feel like as I'm getting older, I'm like 1 year away from looking like Ronnie Cox in this movie, and you're looking like Dean Norris. So
Ronnie Cox, who is great as Cohagen, and he also was the evil guy. Wait a second. Is he in RoboCop? He is, right?
yeah, yeah, he's like the evil guy in RoboCop.
He's the evil guy in both movies. He must have said, "Paul, you must think I'm a dick," and he's like, "No, I love you. You're a great actor."
And what about it? Deliverance? What was he in that?
He's great in Deliverance. I always wonder when he falls in that river. Did he get shot? Is he just clumsy?
It looked a little bit like he was clumsy.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
hard
know
to
anybody
say.
that would get shot that would dramatically fall that way. I feel like that's the way you would fall into the river.
That is the way I would. Wait, so Paul Verhoeven, we didn't mention him.
Oh my
Love
god, I
him.
would forget Paul Verhoeven. Yeah,
Love him.
I mean, where would you rank him as far as directors go? He's got to be up there.
He's got to be one of the top. I believe Stanley Kubrick once said that the only directors who advance a like coherent worldview from film to film are Bergman, Fellini, and he should have put in Paul Verhoeven because
I thought you
this
said.
film,
I thought you were going to go with that. He actually did put Paul Verhoeven in that list, but you're saying,
no, but this film has such like a kind of a vague RoboCop feel in a lot of
Mhm.
parts, like especially in the opening, as we're going to get to the opening news thing, when they're like the they put down the rebels with minimal use of force, and then you see them like shooting them like all point blank.
Yeah. You know what I was going to that I discovered when I was doing some research for this is that David Cronenberg was once attached to this movie,
Yes,
and I do feel that it does have some Cronenbergian looks and feel to it as well. So some of his
really.
imprint has lasted. Yeah, the mutants and stuff. I think that's one of the things that he designed the way the mutants were going to look.
Oh,
And I
another.
think
I
that
mean, well,
lasted.
that's another big credit from this. The special effects done by Rob Bottin, famously did the Thing,
Mm.
and these special effects definitely have a the Thing feel. I don't know why it's so hard for me to say the Thing,
The
uh,
thing.
but like uh, Benny's like weird arm, the way the Quado look, like it's definitely of a piece with the rest of his work.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, he would. I think he left this movie to do The Fly. I don't know if you read that.
Yeah, I recently read the book Cronenberg on Cronenberg, which was a great book, great book. Just a series of interviews, but he worked on this for a year.
I was watching an interview of Arnold Schwarzenegger on Arsenio Hall show,
Hmm.
and he was. This is when he was promoting Total Recall, so it's from 1990, and he's talking about how in this movie the studio executives wanted him to have multiple love interests because a lot of his films were lacking because they were action films. But he told a story which we didn't say when we did the Predator episode, that the studio execs were pushing to have a love interest thrown in at the end. And he's just like, how could I do? All my comrades had died. I'm the only one left. And then they wanted me to have a love interest.
What?
Imagine that. He's just like, the predator's about to kill me. And then I go around into the bush to have some hanky panky, which is pretty funny to hear Arnold tell it. But that would have been horrible in Predator.
They could have put in a lady predator. It's like
Ooh.
this.
Mix it up.
This time, the target is your heart.
That would have been interesting.
Now, I don't know how true this is, but apparently, it did go into pre-production um, with Patrick Swayze as Quaid and Bruce Beresford as the director. Bruce Beresford, famous Australian director, Breaker Morant, and also Driving Miss Daisy. Um, and then they ran out of money, and then Arnold came in and bought it.
Did you know that David Cronenberg wanted it for Richard Dreyfuss?
Really, I always heard Matthew Broderick. Both would be interesting choices.
Richard Dreyfuss. I'm trying to think of how old Richard Dreyfuss would have been. He would have been a little too old for that character.
I think he would have been like 40, 41. I'm having trouble estimating his age.
He's probably younger than he would have been younger than us, probably.
Well, no, I know that Arnold, I think, is exactly our age in this film, which is very.
You know, you know what I'm thinking. I still have time to save Mars.
Oh wow, you're right. You're right.
What would I do? What would I do instead?
You're one of the civilians getting blown away in the background.
I'm the one that runs in front of the big TV screen and just gets shot in the chest.
I was going to say you're the shield, the guy in the escalator who's the shield.
Oh, you know I'm not out in public. I'm just at home.
That's true. You're watching. You're like watching the news, and Jen is like Rusty, and like turns it to like the landscape in the background.
I like that.
This is like one of those films. It went through so many hands, but I'm glad at where it ended up.
Oh my god, this movie's amazing. I would watch this movie all the time. Anytime it was on TV, anytime we used to get the pay-per-view channel for free. We had the Scrambler, so I would just constantly watch it. This movie was a major role in my life. Like this was a movie that you would tell people about. Like, oh, I love Total Recall. You got to see Total Recall.
So we open with a dream sequence, quite fittingly because a lot of people consider the whole film to be a dream.
We're already starting with this debate.
No, we're not. I don't
right
give a fuck about this debate. I love the ride. You know, I love the ride. I don't really care what it's supposed to be.
Mean, what did you think initially as a kid, and what did you think now?
Initially, as a kid, I did the idea of it being a dream. I couldn't even accept. It made me so mad I had to get sent away to military school. Now I think maybe it is, but I don't really have a strong feeling on it. I'd rather it be real, of course.
Yeah, as a kid, I definitely thought it was real. As an adult, especially after hearing Paul Verhoeven and Arnold talk about it, I feel like it's definitely a dream.
I have to say, this movie has the right kind of ambiguity. There's too many movies these days that are like an A24 horror movie that has like the mood and it has like a good premise, but it's almost like the movie stops as soon as the premise like comes together. It's like a first act, but that's the whole film. Like they don't think of like what to do with the premise. It's just the whole film is an articulation of the premise. You know what I'm saying?
You lost me.
Whatever.
So the dream sequence. Quaid is walking along the Rocky Mountains of Mars.
Yes.
With Belina, and then like all our dreams, and he slides down the mountain, cracks his helmet open.
Yep, and his eyeballs start bulging out. Very famous image. I remember. I think I had a Fangoria with that on the cover.
I remember that Fangoria. I remember being in 6th grade, and somebody had it, and then being like, "Can I borrow that?" And I'm looking through it during that class.
There's also a famous image from that Fangoria. Not to jump ahead, but when the character Thumbelina, the little person, she's played by Debbie Lee Carrington, who was 3'10", actually. When she kills, what's the name of Richter's sidekick?
Helm.
Helm, played by Michael Champion. When she kills him, when she stabs him, originally she was supposed to like really gut him, but they had to get this down to an R rating, so that was one of the famous things cut. There's always been talk of doing an unrated Total Recall, and I will be there if they do it.
Wait, there's a lot of violence in this movie that seems like that would go along with everything else that's in the movie.
Yeah, but I think they just had to take a little bit off of it, just like the unrated RoboCop versus the R-rated RoboCop.
Like when you get a haircut, a little bit off the top.
Not for me. Don't have to do that anymore.
Did you know, since you mentioned Debbie Lee Carrington, do you know she did pass away 2 years ago?
That's sad to hear.
Do you know that she was also... did you ever watch the Drew Carey show?
No, I did not.
Are you familiar? Are you familiar with it at all?
I mean, I know that Drew Carey's in it.
Yeah, I mean, his nemesis at work is Mimi.
Mm-hmm.
His character Mimi, and she played Little Mimi.
Oh.
So she had the same look. And she was also on Seinfeld. She was Mickey, Kramer's friend, Mickey's love interest on one of the soaps that they worked on.
Oh, Mickey. Mickey does a film festival with my cousin.
Oh, really?
The Real Abilities Film Festival.
Oh, very nice. And she was also one of the ducks, the extra ducks in Howard the Duck.
Wow. I still have not seen Howard the Duck. Maybe someday.
What?
Maybe someday we'll do an episode.
Wait, you never seen Howard the
I never
Duck?
have.
That's out of all things you haven't seen growing up, that's like the thing. This might be the most shocking to me because that seems like something that you definitely would have seen. Howard the Duck, the comedy in that movie is appalling. He's like so corny, but I do like the movie though. I do
Really?
like. I
All right,
do.
well,
Well,
we're gonna have to check that
maybe.
out.
Yeah, Leah Thompson was always like a thing that I liked.
Yeah, a thing that I liked. Wow. Okay. So he wakes up. Arnold wakes up from this dream screaming. Ever woken up from a dream screaming?
I was going to ask you that. I don't know. I've had some fucked up dreams where I've woken up covered in sweat, but never screaming. I don't think.
Yeah,
What about you?
I've never woken up screaming. You know, I've definitely had bad dreams, and a few times I had like almost like a sleep paralysis where I felt like I couldn't breathe, and I
Oh,
had to
that
like
is the worst.
really will my foot to like move off the edge of the bed, and then so it would like wake me up.
I've had that once in my life, that sleep paralysis, and I was like, I remember talking myself like through it, like just all you have to do is move your foot, but I couldn't do it, and it's like terrifying.
And you're still there to this day. The rest of this has been just been a dream. You thought
Yeah,
Blood Rage was a real film?
oh my goodness! Wait, what did you say about Blood Rage? You're bringing Blood Rage back up?
Well, I was just saying, all of this has been a dream. Like I was like, you thought Blood Rage was a real film?
I feel like since you mentioned Blood Rage, I feel like Blood Rage is becoming huge now.
Blood Rage
I
is
see a
huge.
lot.
We talk about this every episode now.
I think I have dementia. We do?
Yeah.
People, so many podcasts now do a Blood Rage episode around Thanksgiving. It's like the Thanksgiving movie. How how soon before they make a remake? It's got to be coming.
Ooh, I would love that.
Would you?
I mean, I would love to be involved. I would love to play the
Oh, okay.
twins. But that's the kind of thing though where I bet like the rights are some weird like you know some weird situation.
Speaking of remakes, did you ever see the Total Recall remake?
No, and I'm sure it is beyond bad, but I'm kind of curious to watch it after just watching this.
I watched like 15 minutes of it, and it was I mean, I didn't hate it, I didn't love it, but I'm curious to see the whole thing,
Yeah.
especially now. I mean, it'll never replace, the 1990 version, but
Does it not involve Mars?
well, from what I know, because I haven't seen the movie, but it involves an elevator to the center of the Earth.
I really need that.
How far can you take an elevator into the Earth?
The night is young, brother.
Do you know anything about that movie though?
No, I just know that Jessica Biel and Colin Farrell are in it because they told me when we hung out the other day.
Isn't there another actress that's in that plays? Which one does Jessica Biel play? The
She plays Melina.
Melina. Who plays Lori?
I'm blanking on it right now. Oh, Kate Beckinsale.
Oh, really? See, that's a better toss up than Sharon Stone and Rachel Tickerton.
That is true.
No offense to Rachel, just not my type.
It'd be sad if she was like, I'm looking for podcasts. I want to look back at some of my old films. Okay, there's nothing on FX2. Oh, Total Recall. These guys look like a nice group of guys.
She would turn it off
19
after the first 30
19
seconds.
one-star reviews. I don't know about this, but I'm going to give it a whirl.
Would you embrace that 20th 1-star review if it was from her?
Oh, hell yeah. That does not mean anyone should give us a 1-star review and pretend to be from her. Although I literally will settle for just an extra review.
What year did Philip K. Dick die? Was he around for this, or he was?
Philip K. Dick died in 1982. So this was all, he was watching from heaven, having the time of his life.
I wonder how. Wait, so how many of his movies did he actually get? Did he see get made into? Get made?
I remember reading something about him seeing Blade Runner, but that's all.
Oh, he did see Blade. Okay, good for him. Maybe that's what put him out of his misery.
He died in his sleep watching Blade Runner. I love Blade Runner, but come on, we all got to. Let's be honest with ourselves. That's a great movie to fall asleep to.
It is.
I like every line of dialogue. I know. I remember being in the theater when, he wakes up screaming from his dream, and Lori, his wife, played by Sharon Stone, is like, was she in the dream? The girl? And she's like, you dream about her every night. And he's like, but I'm always back in the morning. And I remember the theater and my father, who I saw it with, laughing. And I remember like not really getting it. Just being like, okay.
What did you think of Lori?
I mean, now I'm I'm kind of like I've become like a incel eunuch. But when I was like 12 years old, I mean, she was like the hottest babe out there.
Oh, see, I finally got you because I've asked you every like episode if you found the lead or one of the actresses attractive, and you always like, not really. So we finally got you.
Oh yeah, well not currently though. So
No, no. I mean, yeah, rewatching this, I don't know who I'm more into. The mutant psychic. Yeah, like you said, like he's always back in the morning. But when Laurie's questioning him, like, "Oh, you dreamed of her again." Why does he keep telling her that he's having the same dream with this girl that he's fascinated by?
I don't know. I mean, he should know better. It's causing a rift in the relationship.
It is and it isn't because she does, you know, take off her. Well, she doesn't take off her top, but she undoes the lace thing on her teddy
I thought
for
this
him.
was like the hottest thing as a kid.
I have a false memory. Like for a long time before I rewatched it a few years ago, I thought that you actually see her topless, but you don't.
Yeah, I had the same thing. I was like, I remember you. I was like, I remember being a little weird. Like, what is weird about this? And then I was like, oh, you don't really see anything at all.
You see Arnold's ass crack. That's what you get a taste of.
That's where I'm gonna move to. So then he's eating breakfast. Love the TV on the wall.
Oh my goodness. The technology in this movie, everything was just like, oh, that's the future. That's what it's going to be like.
Oh yeah,
Even some of it we have, like some of the stuff we have now is better. I mean, seeing that fucking phone in the movie,
oh yeah.
like how badly did you want a video phone like that?
I
And every
mean,
time you read an article where there's a little bit of hint of it coming true, it's just like, all right, I'll start saving my money now for when that comes out. But
I remember like
little,
a very early video phone from like the early '90s that it was like, wow, that's gonna be amazing. And of course, now if someone FaceTimes you, it's like, how do I fucking murder them?
what year does this take place? 2080 something?
2084, I believe.
2084. I don't know if we're going to survive that long. This
I don't
planet,
think so.
we're fucked. We better get to Mars quickly.
So he's basically
That's
eating.
SpaceX
He's
going.
basically eating the stuff as he's watching
Yeah.
this Martian uprising on the news.
I would eat it too. Look how happy those people are before they blow up. Chocolate chip Charlie, man. Lori and Quaid had such a weird conversation though during breakfast.
Oh yeah.
Like
Well,
it's a continuation.
so they're talking. I love. It's like they're talking about there's uprisings on Mars. There's Quado, who is the news is saying he's a terrorist, but we know that he's like a
Yeah.
freedom fighter. And then Quaid goes, "Let's do it. Let's move to Mars." That's like watching like like the news talking about Afghanistan and like turning it off and being like, "Let's do it. Let's move to Afghanistan."
Yeah. Or like South Dakota with all the COVID cases. Jen, let's move to South
And
Dakota.
I love how he cites Cohagen. He's like, Cohagen says it's just a few radicals. And then I love the way Sharon Stone plays it, where she's like, "And you believe him?" Like, and like looking away.
Yeah. I like though that like Quaid's a little bit naive.
Yeah, me too.
I like that how he plays the character. Like he's just like a typical guy. Just wants to believe in the good of people. Coig is the president of Mars, all right?
He's not the president, but he's like the administrator.
Yeah. Because he really makes himself accessible. This guy's all over the place.
Yeah.
he's got nothing on the agenda. He's just making public appearances.
Like, what's the word that the British colonists used for like the regent or something? He's like that. He's like the head colonist guy.
Yeah, I see.
Head colonist.
So he's got like that. So of that sector is basically what you're saying.
I think of all of Mars, but I'm not sure.
Mars seems like a shithole to go to.
Oh, it does. Like, why would you ever want to live there?
Yeah, I wouldn't even want to visit that. If you could do like the moons of Jupiter or something, like they sell at the recall package, like that looked at least nice. Mars is just awful looking. Like, would you really want to climb like Olympus Mons on Mars?
Man, I would get that Mars suicide bombing package. It's like, how much C4 can you get? Oh, for an extra 300 credits, you get another 5 pounds of C4 strapped to yourself, man. Come on, man. Think about the limbs flying.
Wait, so you're paying 300 extra credits to be a Mars suicide bomber?
No, 300 extra credits. I'm already a Mars suicide bomber. 300 extra credits get more explosives on me. I got to get a bigger boom. Look, if you're going to do it. I remember my uncle went to Palestine, and he told me, he's like, Edward, If I lived there, I'd be the #1 top ranked suicide bomber. That was a really funny thing to say.
That is a bizarre thing to say. I can imagine that with context that's it.
Look, no one thought it was going to go there.
But anyways, you must have loved seeing the reference to the Tokyo Samurais in the World Series.
Oh yeah, big time.
I bet you would love that shirt.
I already have a Hiroshima Carp shirt, or is it Hiroshima? I'll never know. But
Hiroshima.
Yeah, Hiroshima Carp shirt. I don't really wear it as much as I used to, but for a long time that was a hit shirt of mine.
You retired it with a pile of jizz.
I'm just shaking my head. I actually haven't seen it in a while. I don't know who. I mean, I have two. One I can't really wear at my age because there's like a very cartoon looking baseball man. It's like too cute. It's like a bedtime shirt. If I wore that out, people would be like, "Who's that pedo walking down the street?" So as Doug leaves for work, Lori tells him, "Have a nice day."
She don't mean that. What does Lori do all day anyway?
I don't know. I not to jump ahead, but that. Well, I don't want to jump ahead because I'm sure we have a lot to say about that tennis hologram.
Yeah, but I mean, Lori, she's ambiguous all over the place here. Like we have, as the audience, we know something's up.
Oh yeah, big time. But the movie does a good job of having these supporting characters have kind of like meaningful looks at the end of the scenes, just like we'll see with.
Yeah. But if it's all real, everything that Quaid is going through, he has to have a weird relationship with Lori. If that's like, if he's her assignment, and she's only privy to so much information on him, like some things have to be weird, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Thanks for that insight. But you know what I mean?
No.
Like I say, like they've been the implant says that they've been married for 8 years.
Yeah.
But I mean, does she have access to those 8 years of memories that were implanted, or he only has like limited memories?
They probably gave her like a PDF that's like 500 pages, and she's like, I read like 10 pages. So he like brings up like a trip, and he's like, "Honey, how do you not remember this?" And she's like, "No, I do." And she like runs to the bathroom and like checks the PDF, and just like, "Oh yeah, that was a great time."
That's, or she might just have an earpiece, and she has like somebody doing the fact checking for her. Yeah, you went to this trip. You bought this on the trip.
I'm gonna need that in my next relationship. I feel like I can't tell this story, but okay. First thing I'll say is that I am STD free. And
anytime you have to set up a story now,
but I did hang out with someone once who, after we had made out a lot but not had sex, told me that they had an STD. I'm not going to identify the STD because I don't want to give away who it was in case they're listening, which I'm sure they're not. But I was like, "Wait, and you can't get it from making out?" And she's like, "No, not at all. There's no risk for making out." And I was like, "You're sure?" And she's like, "Yeah." And then like she's like hugging me, and I like behind her back, I have my phone out, and I'm like, "Can you get from kissing?"
Well, what was the answer? Was no?
The answer was no, because then I went to the doctor after.
Okay. Yeah, but
got
now
that test.
That's still got to be in the back of your head, even if you just Googled it.
No, I mean that completely ruined it all. I mean, it was like date 3 because it was clearly like heading in a sexual direction, and then after that, because I was like, okay, now I never want to kiss again until I get like the test, and it's the thing you can get vaccinated for, and the vaccine. So like now there's like a several week break where I'm trying to avoid her, and I'll completely reboot things once it's but it was not to be. It was not to be.
Did you turn her off by how bad you were making out though?
Another ghost in the graveyard. Oh, I've been like before that we had, there's certain people that you make out and it's like amazing.
Hot and heavy.
We were like the best at making out, me and her. And then after that, I became like, it was like kissing like an Amish teen for the first time. I was like, I'm just going to let me just move a little bit away from you. Maybe if we keep a broom's length between us.
No hand. Your hands are in your pockets.
So he's going to work. He goes through that full body scanner, a very famous effect.
Yeah, that's a very famous scene, especially when he breaks through it later on. But yeah, I just need to know though, what good is it? It seems like the people who are just monitoring aren't really qualified to do anything if you do walk through with some kind of contraband.
Well, it's interesting because like all those extras are really overacting. Like they're really like typing in tons of stuff. They're like really exact. I'm like, what are you guys looking at? What are you doing? They're twisting a lot of dials.
What would you be doing? Just sitting there
No,
like
I
a
mean, you
freak?
would be just sitting there. If you're watching the skeletons walk by, like, what
You know, with all that technology, somebody should be like on their phone or whatever they have.
well, with all that technology, it'd be so easy to have like a plastic gun, I'm sure.
That's true. With all that technology, wouldn't you just have your hologram create a diversion and then just go through?
That's another option. Although I get the feeling that the hologram, all that stuff is kind of, which is cool. It's kind of like I didn't even think of this until this time. All the gadgets he gets later are kind of like this world's version of like not M, Q in James Bond.
Yeah.
So this futuristic looking subway station, this was shot in Mexico City.
Yes. It was quite an interesting shoot in Mexico City. Everybody got sick.
Many of these locations are still there. I might do a tour of that someday.
Yeah, I really like the look of it. And plus, they saved a ton of money by filming in Mexico City. They got the futurism at a much greater price.
Everyone got sick from eating craft services, which I see you've spelled with a K, but it's just a C.
And I capitalized it too.
It looks like craft food service. It's like mac and cheese again. I don't like it.
Dude, I wrote this. I did the outline at like 2 a.m. to get this done.
Arnold had his own private food flown in.
You're just reading my outline now.
So someone's got to do it.
Do you know that Paul Verhoeven was so violently ill that he had an ambulance on set with him that would give him like, vital whatever he needed?
I bet he did. I bet he also had an ambulance full of cocaine as well.
That probably also kept him down. I think he actually shot a couple scenes laying down. He was too ill to sit up.
Oh, I bet. So when he's watching this commercial, I've always found his posture in this scene very strange. You notice the way he's like hunched over?
That's probably how you're recording this episode.
Welcome to Posture Reviews. Ever noticed that Maggie Gyllenhaal in the film Secretary has worse posture in the beginning, then it gets better as she becomes more assertive? Ever dream of a vacation at the bottom of the ocean but can't float the bill?
Wait, I'm surprised you've seen Secretary, but that's another day.
I fucking live that film.
Do you really? Put your hands on the desk? Is that you?
I really like the author of
what author?
The original story that was based on Mary Gateskill.
Oh.
I've read all of her books. Have you ever wanted to climb the mountains of Mars, but now you're over the hill? I love the guy with like the walker going up the hill. Now I have a theory about this. Okay. Commercial, which I'm 99% sure is right. So you remember the jingle? Mm-hmm. For the memory of a lifetime, recall.
That beautiful voice.
Now, in the next scene, let's just jump to the next scene. Arnold is working at his construction job. Now, originally, this character was supposed to have a different job, right? And then Arnold was like, got to give him something that justifies his physique. Am I correct?
Yeah.
So, his friend Harry is working at this place.
Harry.
Yeah. Hey, Harry. I was like, I can't believe they were trying to have a conversation over the sound of these jackhammers. Now, this was played by Robert Costanzo.
Yes, not Costanza.
Costanzo, and he's actually on Cameo. Did you know that?
I did, because when I got you your birthday Cameo gift, I was considering, since we were doing Total Recall, to get Robert Costanzo. But then watching his like plea to hire services, that was too depressing.
Now, speaking of Cameo, let's cut to that real quick. We've got Chuck Liddell of the UFC with a little message for you.
Hey people, rate this guy's podcast if you'd like. Check it out in Viewmaster's podcast. All right.
He had no idea what was going on.
Are you playing it? Did you play it?
I just played it. Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, poor Chuck. He did a good job though with the 250 characters I had to work with.
I mean, you got him to say all of my Rocket League catchphrases.
I did. Does our audience know about that?
The way I would sum it up is, if you tell people on Rocket League that you date models, they go fucking insane. And Rocket League, if you play it, like, you have to type everything in. So I have all these things saved, as you know, all too well. But I always say I date models, and then people will start freaking out. And then I say, fight me IRL. And I give the same address that one guy tried to fight me with years ago. And I've probably given out that address 10,000 times since.
So many people just waiting there for you. There's like
There's just a line of people. It's like a line of people like waiting to get to a club, all waiting to fight this guy. And the guy's like, I tried to fight someone once.
They're all like, "Are you here for it?" They say your name, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm here for that guy too."
Well, no need to be secretive about my name because it's the same name as I have on Instagram. Or the one time I've trolled like 10,000 people on PS4, and one time the guy was like, "Hey, I found you on Instagram." I was like, "Log off, log off." Eddie, this you?
And quit telling people to date models. Come on. Everybody knows that's not true.
Okay, so this is my thing. So Harry goes. so Arnold says he's like, "Hey Harry, you ever heard of recall?" And then he's like, "Oh yeah, those fake memories." He goes, "Recall, recall, recall."
Yeah,
like clearly he's supposed to be singing the song, but
right.
like in every movie they probably did that commercial way later, so maybe they didn't know how that was actually going to be performed. But he couldn't have thought that was going to be the jingle.
See, I chalked it up to that. He's just like a working class guy. He doesn't really pay attention. He comes home, sits in front of the TV, drinks a beer, and that's the way he remembers it. Because when he first asks him, he's like, "Harry," and he's just like, he like has to think about it for a second, and he's just like, "Oh yeah."
Everyone remembers jingles and like the way they sound.
Yeah.
He's just like recall, recall, recall. How would that be their jingle?
Yeah, everybody knows like Salino and Barnes, so I think they would know recall.
I think that it's like he saw in the script it said that, and he's like, "What's this gonna sound like?" And Paul Verhoeven's like, "Oh, who cares? Just go it,
go. I mean, his performance here is how he got that leading role in Sewer Shark. So there you go.
Oh, I forgot that he was the lead in Sewer Shark, even though it's been mentioned in at least 5 episodes.
Do you get the mention too?
He tells him, he's like, don't go to recall. And then he gives him like one of those suspicious looks, just like Laurie did. And then in the very next moment, we see Arnold approaching recall.
Yeah, don't fuck with your brain, pal. I guess not. But I still don't quite get Harry's role in this movie, because when Cohagen's talking about all the help that he gives Quaid, he doesn't mention Harry. So is Harry just like somebody that's just been watching from a different group?
No,
like, does he have his own affiliation?
Is definitely part of the thing.
Yeah, but Harry was planning on killing him. That wasn't Cohagen's plan.
Well, I don't know if Harry was going to kill him. Like, I mean, definitely.
How about that drink, pal?
It looks like he was going to kill him, but like, you know, Arnold does jump in right before. Maybe they were just going to beat him up and, you know, bring him in,
rough him up a little bit. Yeah, maybe he did something to Harry that like Harry didn't forget about, so he's just like wanted to rough him up. How if recall existed, how quickly would you be approaching the doors of recall?
Well, that's an interesting question, because first of all, immediately, but I always struggled with the idea that it's just memories. Like, I want to be in it. I want to experience it as it's happening, you know? I mean, I have a million great memories, but if it's not happening to me in the moment, I kind of spiral into despair.
Like, I don't know. I feel like when you're doing something in the moment, though, it's not as good.
Really?
Like, you appreciate it more later on.
See, that's why I'm into like extreme sports, and you're just like making scrapbooks
on the couch.
All I care about is the fucking moment. I live my life a quarter mile at a time.
Your extreme sport is throwing apples at people that are up to no good outside your apartment window.
Yes, that is. That is certainly an extreme sport. You don't know what you're going to get back.
How's your aim?
It's pretty good.
So yeah, the brain butchers. Quaid doesn't listen to Harry's advice. Mm-hmm. Shows up at recall.
A classic shot when Tiffany, the girl with the nails, is painting her nails and she's got her hand up and Arnold is entering. That's just a great shot.
I think I have a false memory. I thought I read somewhere that the actress that plays Tiffany was a like a Miss USA, and then I tried to refine that and I couldn't. So I don't know what I'm dreaming of.
You've also falsely remembered the word refined. Refined.
Oh boy. But anyways, yes, the nails.
The nails, that effect still seamless. I was blown away by it.
Yeah, how do they do that one?
But I don't know.
Got to figure that one out. Yeah. Even as a kid, though, I thought that was cool. Even though I wasn't painting my nails, but that was very iconic to me.
Yeah.
That she just that's what a receptionist would do. Just fuck around and paint her nails. And then McLean, the slimy salesman.
Oh yeah, they do a great job. Like all the like random supporting characters are so memorable. I'm not sure if it's just because they all have memorable lines or what it is, but I feel like I could perform this in like a theater.
Who do you give credit to? The screenplay? Do you give it to Paul Verhoeven?
I give it to everybody, all three.
Why are movies made like this anymore? I mean, obviously there's good movies being made, but like this movie's just classic all the way through.
Yeah,
everything about this is good. Never a dull moment.
And he brings Doug inside and sells him on the basic Mars package.
Give me that ship package. What do you get? Why would you go for the ship package if you're getting memories implanted into your head?
One thing I never understand is Arnold is such like, he's so enthusiastic about this, and when the guy is like, "Let's talk about options," and he's like, "No options." I mean, maybe it's just because he's like a used car salesman, and he's like trying to cut him off, like I don't want the extended warranty, but it's just so weird how he shoots it down. Although, of course, the guy sells him on the secret agent thing pretty quick.
If you say you want to go on vacation, and you went there and you had an implant put in, don't you come to inside the I guess the recovering room or wherever it is, but you're leaving recall. So do you know that vacation is an implant and you don't care?
Yeah, I guess so. But it's the funny thing is, it's just like how they say the most boring thing to tell other people about are dreams you had. Like imagine being like, it's like, oh yeah, man, I went to Mars. It's like a famous athlete. It was awesome. Everyone's like, shut this guy up.
And nobody cares about when you retell dreams you had. But yeah, I mean, even like when he said if you get the upgraded package, you get like souvenirs and stuff. But why would he want that?
Yeah.
I would look at more as recall as like being like a junkie. Like that's your like high, like to do like cool things without actually like risking it. Like do something like go hang gliding or something. Risky hang gliding.
What would it be like? I mean, if you like just had unlimited funds and you just got recall like every single day, like constantly, if you had years of memories, but within the space of like, you've only been at the place for like a day. That's something to think about.
Could you do like, cause you could do like the 2-week package, but can you do like a 8-year package? Like just have 8 years implanted?
Yeah, I guess so. You could.
There would be a home version at some point. Like you just get a recall machine in your house.
Oh, the home version would be horrible. It'd be like, oh, I vaguely remember I had a smell. I remember a smell. It's like, just like, remember how excited you were as a kid to get the home version of Double Dare. And then that was like fucking horrible.
Finders Keepers. What was the other one? Finders Keepers or something?
Oh, don't get me started on that one. Nothing makes me more mad than that.
He's going crazy. But you would find so many dead people in their apartments or houses that are just stuck in recall, their home version.
My God, teach my dog how to do the controls.
You wind up in like the Fly situation. Something's going to go wrong and you'll get yourself lobotomized. I feel like you would need an expert to administer the implant for you. But recall's the brand, right? Because it's with a K.
Yeah.
So I guess they have knockoffs and some inferior, like low budget Chinatown recalls. What would you do? What would you ideal? I mean, realistically, don't say like climb the mountains of Mars. What would you love to do that you would never be able to do or be too fearful of?
I'm just a massive orgy.
Like from society?
Just a massive orgy. And like, I'd be like, and is there a way I can like learn a language, but like not actually have to do it,
I think, that would be a great implant. to like learn something that without actually investing the time, like get your like doctorate in something without actually doing anything.
Oh my god. I would learn a language and like learn how to play piano. That I would never play piano. Like I just don't feel
That
like
would. Oh, we got to create this now. That would be cool. Can you do something that doesn't like that? Like, can you do something that's not possible? Like, go back to prehistoric times?
Oh
You
yeah,
know, have
that is what I would
memories
want.
of
I want like
riding
memories of. I
dinosaurs.
was like, I fought with King Arthur. Like,
Yeah.
get this guy out of the bar.
You're Pontius Pilate condemning Jesus to be crucified, like a Clockwork Orange.
I love the cut
But
when McLean is pitching him on the special agent package, and he's like,
uh,
"I don't want to root it for you, but you get the girl, kill the bad guys, and save the entire planet." And doesn't that sound like it's worth a measly 300 credits? And
I
then
love
Arnold has like a
I love the
smile
actor.
on his face, and then it cuts to like the same kind of smile as he's being lowered into the machine.
Yeah, I do like the way the actor that plays the character McLean, that he's just like doesn't want to give it away either. Like he's setting it up, getting
Yeah.
Arnold all excited, but then he like, I don't want to spoil for you. Like the actor's so good in that. Yeah, his face. I see he's like the things going around his head in the recall machine.
So then they trank him, and that was the only thing at this time when I was watching it. Although it totally works well because you want him to be passing out as he's seeing Melina. But I was like,
Yeah.
what if he passed out like before? They're like, oh, you didn't give us that answer on the women. I guess we're just gonna fucking wing it.
What if you have buyer's regret? What if you say somebody like, oh, I should have went with that person?
First time I ever heard the word demure.
Demure.
Also, the last time I ever heard the word demure.
They get plus was Melina even demure?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
Okay.
like, I don't know exactly what it means, but I think does it mean like loving and like something?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, I
like
guess
once
she
she got
was,
him
right?
alone, she was like, very affectionate and clearly
Well,
missed
she
him.
does say, she does say, "What have you been feeding this thing?"
Blondes.
But how does he come up? How do they like zone in on Melina by asking 4 questions? I hope that was like just for time's sake that they didn't go through the whole goddamn questionnaire. But they ask like 4 questions and then Melina just pops up.
It is interesting too how when he chooses the option sleazy, but on the
Mhm.
computer screen the option is called wanton, and
Mhm.
I'm like, did that just not match up from like when they were doing the thing later in post when they were creating that image, or
Yeah.
or in the world of this film, like the workers were like, when they would say wanton, they'd kind of have to explain and be like, it's like sleazy, and then eventually they were just like, let's just
Yeah.
start saying sleazy.
Yeah. It's the 90s. Hey, it's the 90s. Stay sleazy.
I mean, wanton, I feel like you don't really hear that unless you're living in the Crucible. She was a wanton witch. Oh, that's where
I
I'd
think you're
go
bringing
back
it
to.
back. You just said it like 7 times in a row.
That's where I would go to.
so who would you be if you went back to that time
A
period?
witch, dude. I'd be a witch. Burn me. Burn me. I'm bored.
I'm poor.
I need to feel. Look, this man's life is so sad. His version of cutting is going into recall and being burned as a witch.
They're like, oh, here comes Eddie again. He wants that witch program for upgrade him 300 credits. What do you get him for 300
Hey,
extra credits?
300 credits, man. You're gonna crush me under the stones. Hey, that's nothing, man. For 600, we'll throw you in a river and see if you float.
Judas Cradle. You're just like, put me on that Judas Cradle for an extra 500 credits.
So this guy's going broke, having himself murdered under false pretenses.
Imagine that was your addiction, just going to recall just to be murdered.
That is privilege.
Now, is it like the legend of a dream? If you die in recall, do you die in real life?
I'm going to be the first one to find out. So he very famously in the next scene. So he's going to sleep, and then I love the way the next scene starts with McLean giving a pitch to like the, I don't know if she's Scottish or whatever. She's like, but I don't get any souvenirs. And he's like, not true. He's like, in our new package, we can get you photos, we get all that stuff. And then like the camera's pulling out and we see the doctor like banging on the thing.
Yeah. Yeah, get in there quickly. Arnold's freaking out.
And that they run in there and just iconic moments how, he's like, you blew my cover. And then he's like, my name is not Quaid. Man, when they trank him like a million times with that shot to the leg, like that reminded me of like when I drink coffee after 8 p.m. That's what I need to fall asleep.
It's like somebody on PSP, like when they're just running through glass doors.
You mean PCP? PSP.
What did I say?
PSP. That's the disease my mother died of, and a portable gaming system.
It's getting very late over here.
Woohoo!
But I need an implant. Quick, help me out.
You're like, remember episode 110 about Howard the Duck? I'm like, that never happened. I was like, you went to those brain butchers?
Oh, my brain's just turning to mush. Help me out. Help.
So they're like, the one part that is like kind of funny to me in this scene, when the other doctor's like, excuse me, like they're like, someone erased his memory, and it's like, excuse me, someone? We're talking about the fucking agency here. But
Ernie,
I was like, I of course I remember he got slapped, but when he's saying that line, I was like, he's kind of far away, and then he like walks into the slap. It's so clear that he had to like get in range of the slap. So they're like, dump him in a cab. Like, if anyone comes asking, we never even heard of Douglas Quaid.
Did you know? I just found this out when I rewatched it. Is that the voice of the Johnny Cab? I never knew this is Robert Picardo.
And I also just found this out as well. And they modeled the look after him.
I can see that.
Makes me wonder if he kept that prop and he has it in his house.
That would be cool. That would be a cool prop to have.
Man, Robert Picardo could be bringing girls home, and he's like, "Hey, check this out. This is actually my prop from it's a little rotted right now, but this is my prop from Total Recall. They made this cab on me." He's like, Arnold. Arnie's a great guy, man. He told me, he was like, Robbie, you're pretty ripped.
I was thinking if he brought women home, and then when they wake up in the morning, it's just the Johnny Cab head in the bed next to them. Hope you enjoyed the ride.
Wow, that's fucking awesome. That's good.
Oh, that's good. They have Johnny Cabs on Earth, fully automated taxi services. How come they didn't have that on Mars? Why do they need people driving on Mars? Mars a little more,
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Mars is like the frontier,
I see. It's a little behind on the times.
Yeah, definitely.
I read that a lot of the transportation, the public transportation that you see on Earth is actually was the real transportation used in Mexico City. A lot of the cars and stuff, besides like Richter's car. Are Mexicans driving futuristic cars and we don't know about it?
I don't know. It's funny because I was like, these cars still look futuristic, even though they look like complete crap.
They look like that weird Tesla truck that they were coming out with.
So he is intercepted by Harry.
Harry. I'm just going into like a Harry Potter now. Harry.
You're a Martian, Harry.
Who's that? Is that Hagrid?
That's Hagrid. Dude, watch the films. That was exactly right.
But yeah, so they take him around to a quiet quarter, dark quarter.
Oh my God. So many. Every line of this film is iconic. He's like, what the fuck did I do wrong? And he's like, you blabbed, Quaid. You blabbed about Mars.
Yeah, I love saying that one. What the fuck did I do wrong? But Arnold goes full berserker mode here.
Wait, he kills all these guys. I still remember being in the theater as a kid and being like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, that is incredible.
Oh, yeah. I just thought that was just like sheer brutality.
Oh, yeah.
Like the karate chop to the head, and it just like opens up a huge gash, and the guy's bleeding out from that. Snapping necks.
The way that he breaks, we don't talk about sound design on this very often, but I wonder what the sound was. Like when he breaks Harry's neck with his foot.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like that is such a visceral sound. I wonder how they did that.
That's like when I'm like 80 and like have Alzheimer's, and there's like, he doesn't remember anything, and they'll play that sound, and you'll see me like,
oh, yeah.
Recall. Yeah, that sound is like, I could be anywhere and you hear that sound and you know exactly where it's from.
So then we see the tennis instructor hologram.
What, we got to it. We made it.
Every time I see this, I always wonder, would that really help you with tennis?
I always wondered, is that a man or a woman that's instructing?
It's a woman, obviously.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, obviously. Why? Because they're wearing a unitard? That's not obvious. The hair could be like bad 80s glam hair.
No, it's definitely. I don't even know how that's a question. And I'm not
I was
saying,
always-
look, gender's on a spectrum. I'm not saying it's like got to be one or the other, but that's a woman.
The pros and cons I had as a kid from the scene was that I love the way Sharon Stone looked in that outfit.
Oh my God. I think I could weave that outfit from memory.
Just get this guy in the loom.
Give me a little loom. I will make the spandex fucking suspenders
With
and
a
pink,
Pink bra
whatever
top.
you call it.
What are they called? They're not a bra top. It's just like, whatever it is. It's like that bikini top that wraps around. But yeah, then the instructor always confused me, whether it was male or female. I didn't know if I should be attracted to it or not.
So of course he comes home. He's like turning off all the lights, and he's like, when I'm in another relationship in 2024, I'm gonna do this. Come home to start closing all the blinds.
For what reason? Just
to cosplay Total Recall. You're
think
having paranoid delusions. You call this a delusion?
Do you think you would go to Recall just to make you more normal? Just like implant me with normalcy?
Oh yeah, it's like implant me with like I went to the high school prom and
I didn't shoot out my window with a BB gun.
Quaid goes into the bathroom to clean up the blood. I love this. The first appearance of Michael Ironside. She calls him, and like the way he turns to like look at the video phone.
Yeah, fucking freak. Why would she be with him? Because so creepy. He has no appeal.
I mean, I guess if you're into this like CIA style like evil spy organization, he is the biggest murderer.
Is it power though? Does he have power?
Oh
he
yeah,
seems,
yeah.
He seems just like a hired goon though.
No, he's like the second kind of like he's like the top goon to the fucking Emperor of Mars.
Do you think he was like a good guy at first, and then he got all that power and prestige, and just became Richter, like the character that we're seeing? I think he was always an asshole.
I think he was always an asshole.
He was just like a bully in school, and then climbed the ranks.
Once he like beats Sharon Stone and kind of like subdues her. And she starts explaining everything about him. Another great scene where she's like, sorry, Quaid, your whole life is just a dream.
Oh, that's a great line. I'm not your wife. The hell you're not. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot for him to handle. But I like that they're like old friends because they've like been together for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And he's just like realizing everything that's gone down. But yeah, he's on to her. He realizes that he's going to have some visitors soon, and he knocks her out.
Yeah. Nice knowing you.
Now, when Richter and Helm come in and the couple goons, Richter, you just know Richter's a dick off the bat because when the other guy tries to help Lori,
oh yeah, he tosses that guy aside.
He's like, "Don't touch her, she's mine." Yeah, he's pretty insecure. But Arnold's out of there, and once again, we're seeing that body scanner again.
Oh yeah, famous moment.
And this time we're getting the payoff. We see that the alert going off that he has a gun. It seems also great since we're talking about the violence of this movie.
Oh yeah,
the escalator scene.
Oh
my
God,
the death escalator.
What was the phone call like? So Arnold, like a random guy gets killed, falls into Arnold's arms, and then Arnold uses him as a shield. What was the call like to that guy's family? Like, so he passed away today. He was shot. It's like, oh my God, he was shot. It's like he was shot 900 times.
He was with us. Like, what kind of gun was that? That's like Call of Duty, the rapid fire. That the guy was just taking such a wave of bullets so quickly.
Oh yeah, I mean, I could tell you every gun in this film, but
how quickly did that guy die? Was it instant, or did he feel?
No, I think the first shot kills him because I think that's. That kind of absolves Arnold from guilt because he falls into his arms dead.
Then he was degraded just by his corpse being thrown at the end. But yeah, I love the action to ride up there, just being attacked from both angles.
Oh yeah,
using the guy as a shield. But yeah,
Paul Verhoeven, all of his violence always has such a distinctive look too. He must have had his own like squib guy. Where he's like, "Great to see you again." He's like, "Oh, love to work with you, Paul. You keep us in business, brother."
I'm sure he probably says like, now for this movie, I want you to up it more than the last one. So the guy has to come up with more blood
yeah.
packs and stuff.
Once they switched to Starship Troopers and there was like a lot of CGI gore, that guy must have been like, yeah, I'm getting out of the biz. My biggest client just fucked me over, man.
He's so bitter.
But because these look just like RoboCop, like it has the same look.
Oh yeah, it definitely does. That's how you know. And Arnold escapes.
Oh, when Arnold escapes on the subway, I've always found that the violence here also so satisfying. Like the way that Richter is like shooting angrily, the way that he takes one last shot and it shoots like a lady in the head is such like a interesting, like just throwaway detail. Like it's like you barely notice it, but it's like so perfectly executed.
What was the repercussions for what fucking Richter was doing?
Man, this, Arnold starred in a film called Collateral Damage, but that could have been the name of this film. There is so much collateral damage in this film.
I love that once he gets on the subway, like everybody's so casual too.
Oh, yeah, they get over that pretty quick. Arnold's like watching like the shuttle commercial.
Yeah, I love though that they like have the recall commercial, and he's just like now you tell him.
Richter is pissed after this. He's like, I want Quaid dead. And Helm's like, I don't blame you. I wouldn't want a guy like Quaid porking my old lady. He's like, you say she liked it? Oh, I'm sure she hated every minute of it. Where is this Helm guy? Where is he from? What else is this guy in?
I don't know. He looks really familiar, right? Like I feel like he's like a guy that like has a distinct look for this movie, and then you'd see him in other things. Like, oh, that's what he really looks like.
So they call Cohagen. I think this is our first, or not our first view because we saw him in the news. But Cohagen says like, if I wanted him dead, I wouldn't have dumped him on Earth.
I mean, what's the plan here? Do you think they would have had him more monitored?
I mean, one of my only, I wouldn't call it a criticism, but like later in the film when Cohagen's like, oh, nice, back off. It's all going according to plan. It's like, it seems like this whole thing was the plan. Like, it doesn't seem like he's improvising.
Why did he keep Richter on the job? Because he clearly points out that Richter's been fucking everything up.
Yeah, I mean, Richter's just massacring people all over the city.
He's unhinged. He's reckless.
So he goes to the hotel where he gets, the guy calls him and tells him to wipe a wet towel around his head.
I would describe myself as artistic and crafty and stuff. And I have no idea how he wrapped it that way. You give me 100 tries, I would not get it close to that. I don't know what he's doing with that wet towel.
It looks a lot like a Sikh turban, which I believe is called a dastar. I might not have said that correctly. So then he goes. The guy who has called him up is like, "You told me to. I'm a friend. You told me to call you if ever got in trouble." And he leaves him the briefcase. And of course, another classic detail where this old lady tries to take the briefcase.
Yeah,
and she's like,
little
"I don't see your name on it." And he's like, "Give it to me." But then the way she's like, "Fuck you, you asshole," and then he does like the little bow is just incredible.
Yeah. I remember in theater seeing that, and I remember that got a big laugh when she's like, "Fuck you, you asshole."
Me too.
I don't know about your experience, but that was a big laugh. And I was like, even then as a kid, I was just like, "That's the big laugh. Like that's what the crowd's laugh I got." I don't know.
I mean, I remember back then it was still kind of like in the 80s and 90s, like profanity was still very novel, especially coming out of like an old lady's mouth. Remember there was a whole genre of like unexpected old ladies cursing that was amazing back then.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I couldn't think of anything off the top of my head. Holy shit!
I think that officially died when Betty White was at the end of the film Lake Placid. If you remember that, she curses a lot, featuring a giant alligator, just like the upcoming episode about alligator.
This guy loves his alligators.
He does. I do.
You're like,
but it's like the where's the beef lady walked. So that cursing Betty White could run, but now it's kind of cliche to have an old lady cursing. It's not shocking at all.
What's replaced that though?
The pandemic.
So as he realizes he's bugged, Richter and Helm pinpoint him. They're onto him again. Oh no, wait, I'm fucking this up. Oh, my bad.
I just love the way you said bugged.
You better not use a clip here. Bugged.
Definitely will not.
Bugged. I know you just did.
Bugged.
And I might do it again right here.
Bugged.
I need Chuck. Chuck, help me out on this one.
Eddie, here you like to challenge people to fights. I'm in.
So he's leaving the hotel now,
Yeah.
and as he's looking for a cabbie, Richter and Helm pull up, and they see him.
Oh yeah, and he jumps in a Johnny cab and he's like, drive, and
Another
he's like,
funny scene.
he's like, I'm not familiar with that address. It's like shit.
Yeah, this I actually did find funny as a kid, though, for some reason. Those jokes worked for me. You notice that the city, though, it's futuristic, but it's still really grimy.
Oh yeah,
Guess you could never get a city clean.
he goes to like a very horrible area. This is a question I've always had about this film. So when he doesn't pay the fare, the Johnny cab is like malfunctions and tries to kill him,
Yeah.
and it blows up. Is that because it has experienced damage during this chase, or is that like the standard reaction to not paying a fare? It runs you over.
I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. Still to this day, I don't know. Like, are they programmed to murder if you skip out on a fare? I don't know. Sue me, dickhead.
So they go to the abandoned. He goes to the abandoned cement factory to test out all the stuff from the suitcase, which, like I said, is like the Q James Bond stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I loved it. Yeah, I'm sure you loved him pulling out each piece of equipment, looking at it.
Oh my god!
He had the same wonderment as we have as an audience.
I love when he puts on the hologram watch and then like another guy like he appears and he like shoots at the guy.
Yeah. I do like that they start off slow first too. It's like money, IDs, the thing that removes the thing from his head, and then the hologram watch, the big payoff.
Man, when he removes the thing from his head, that's so satisfying. It's like watching a pimple popping video on YouTube. It's like, ooh, get that big thing out of your nose.
Don't tell me you really watched those, do you?
Hell no.
Okay.
I'm the last guy who's watching that.
Yeah.
I was just trying to relate to the people who might watch that.
Yeah, I have to give credit to the props department and stuff, and the people that designed the Arnold apparatus thing. That looks pretty legit.
Oh yeah,
like much better than the Terminator 1 6 years earlier. Yeah. So then next, Customs, Mars Customs.
Oh yeah,
another great scene. This movie's just filled with great scenes.
I noticed this time so many scenes are just very contained, where it's just like it's just like a one set piece. It's like it starts out. It's like here we are in Mars Customs. Here's like this fat lady costume, and then like it's just this one scene in this like one location.
Do you think, because we're talking about this movie and we're saying how iconic it is and all these scenes are amazing, do you think it would appeal to like a younger generation that hasn't seen it? Do you think it has that same impact?
If not, that's what's going to finally make me into like a mean old man. When it's like, I live in like the scary house at the end of the block, and they're like, what happened to that guy? It's like, well, he used to be normal. But then he found out that kids our age don't like the film Total Recall. Now look at him. And I'm like looking out the window like, fuck, I look like Gargamel.
You got to grow out your side hair for that. But on a scale of 1 to 10, how close am I to being a mean old man?
Not that. You're like a 3.
Oh, really? You think so?
Yeah.
Do you think if I like when Nova's a little older and I try to show her Total Recall, do you think she'll just be like, "What's this crap you're showing me, Dad?"
No, I think she'll be into it when she's 4. Now I know you. I don't know if you looked this up, but I was curious during this watch who played the fat lady.
Don't know the actress's name, but I feel like that's bad casting because they titled her as Fat Lady, which is horrible.
That's why I said fat lady. I didn't say it as a judgment.
I know. It's horrible. I wonder if she minded that. She's like, wait, this is the character I'm playing?
I mean, it'd be so interesting for her to be recognized places where people were like, wait a second, weren't you that suit that Arnold wore?
Arnold's like 6'4" or 6'5" or whatever he is. Huge. She fits the he's inside that perfectly.
Like, say it, lady. And she's like, oh, fine. 2 weeks. Like, yeah.
I mean, her role is, another thing, like you said, is iconic in this movie, but like she has a couple lines of dialogue, but just even like when the guy's looking at her, the immigration officer, and she's like, huh? Like she's just great in this role.
Yeah, it really is. And I always think it's like one of those scenes you always watch and I'm like, oh, I was like, he's going to get through this. Like, he's not going to, it's like, he handled the how long you're going to be here. And then it's like, have you brought any fruit? Well, before that though, we see, I love Richter meeting with like the Martian commando guy.
Yeah.
who you see is just like a little more like rough and tumble than they are. Like he's
Mhm.
like the, like again, it's like a frontier situation.
Yeah.
And they're like, they see the graffiti, Quado lives. Oh, I should start doing that around town.
Quado lives.
Yeah. And Richter's like, kill the bastard. It's like, nobody knows who he is.
Yeah, they think he's fucking George Washington.
Yes.
I read that a lot of the military in this movie was real military.
Oh yeah, that's pretty standard.
So they had some PTSD and just killing real people on set. It's like, no, guys, cut it out.
I mean, they had PTSD, the PTSD from this movie. Like there hasn't been this kind of battle since like World War II.
They ate from the craft services. They all were fucking severely sick, taking the shit real. But there's some poor planning. Maybe this was deliberate on Cohagen's part to give Arnold the garments and stuff to like have him stand out because he's wearing like a mustard yellow dress or like muumuu kind of thing.
Yeah.
And everybody else is wearing like muted flat colors. And there's Arnold like standing out, and like Richter knew right away who it was. It's like there's Quaid, the woman.
This was the one time I was watching this where I was like, man, there's a lot of shots of that woman just freaking out. Like it just keeps cutting back to her being like, whoa, 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 whoa.
My complaint, you had your complaint earlier, is that when he's busted and like the wig falls off and then that thing comes out of the ear.
Oh yeah.
And you could see like into the head. Like where's Arnold's head in that? Like there's no way that thing would be able to come out that far without like messing with his own head.
I thought your complaint was going to be that it's just like a little too. It's like I believe that there's a suit that you could wear that makes you into like a big lady. I believe all these things, but I don't really believe that they'd be like, oh, and by the way, the head is an explosive device.
I don't know.
And the head will give you like a one-liner when you throw it to the person.
I mean. That's all believable up until the part where it comes out of the head.
But so
why would Cohagen give him a head that has an explosive in it? Or was that Quaid's tinkering? Because
it was definitely not Quaid's tinkering.
Yeah, I mean, what the hell's Cohagen planning? If it's all going to plan, is that what he wanted? That it potentially could blow up his own squad? I guess he doesn't care. They're all expendable to him. But I mean, is this device new? It's another thing that I'm just wondering. I don't know if this works, but like when he throws the head at them and they're all just staring at it, is this new technology that they've never seen before? Just like, whoa, this is crazy.
That's like a horrible final realization where they're like, wait a second, I think I saw a commercial for this. Remember? Exploding head, exploding head, exploding head. I don't think that was the jingle. It doesn't matter now. Hey, and doesn't it give you like a one-liner that it's like, get ready for, oh shit, it did it. So all hell breaks loose, and then this is where the windows break. The
worst thing about this scene is all the innocent people that were coming through customs that get sucked out.
Oh my god, yeah.
Onto the Martian terrain. You know, the one thing though is, I don't know if you're aware, but the vacuum of space, or the near vacuum of it, is a horrible way to die.
Go on.
And for the most part, Hollywood gets it wrong. But basically, you don't implode or explode. You basically boil and freeze. Your insides boil and freeze at the same time. So you're going through excruciating pain and not dying until you black out.
Hey, if you boil and freeze at the same time, that just means you're normal. I love
it. Slide them up. I don't think your eyes bug out, though. I don't know. I mean, it's good for the effects in this movie. But basically, before you succumb to death, you pass out, which is nice. So you're in excruciating pain, you pass out, and then you die a few minutes later.
The dream.
Well, you got to pay 300 extra credits for that. Do you know? I'm sure you do. No, actually, you don't. But do you know what the atmosphere on Mars is compared to Earth?
It's a little. It's like lighter. Like on Mars, actually, we only have 11 one-star reviews.
We got to get our ass to Mars.
That's fucking true.
But you know what the other thing is, that if Arnold and Melina in the end of the movie, I'm jumping ahead for a second, where they wind up on the Martian terrain without helmets on, and they're breathing, and their eyes are bulging and stuff, and they're suffocating, and then it's terraformed into the atmosphere. But they would still probably die from the injuries of inhaling Martian dust because it's very abrasive.
Oh.
So it would wind up doing severe damage to their lungs that they might survive for maybe a couple weeks, but they would eventually succumb to those injuries.
That'd be funny if they, in text, at the end of the film, it was like 3 weeks later, they succumbed to their injuries. Although I was just thinking there's so much collateral damage in this movie, they'd be like, Mars is saved, but I've got to go hit The Hague for war crimes. I've got to hit The Hague.
Do you remember the scene where he is on the train and he's going into like where and that guy that he's like talking to, that guy, who is that guy? Because that guy's been in so many things.
I looked him up. It's Mickey Jones. Mickey Jones.
Good old Mick.
I recognized him. I recognize him from the show V, which we all know that I'm the biggest fan of.
Yeah.
I once again was V for Halloween this year in Boulder. A lot of people were like, "I love the costume." They're like, no idea what I am. But he was also in Home Improvement. He was in 2 episodes of Alf. He played himself in Entourage. He's like, yeah, I'm playing Mickey Jones. That's a part I've been training for my whole life. You're gonna love this. Actually, no, you're gonna love the next one. But I shall also tell you that he toured with Bobby Dylan. Dylan.
Why would I care about that?
No. This is what you are going to care about.
Okay.
He was in a little game called Night Trap.
Oh my! I love that piece of trivia. Holy shit!
He played the bartender. Man, not great to be in Night Trap and then be like an extra in the game, but still cool to be in it. That's our second, Rusty. That's our second reference to Sega CD this episode. If Sega CD gets referenced 3 times, we'll have good luck.
We're not going to do it. We're not doing it.
We'll see what happens.
Wait, now one last thing about Mickey Jones. You good pal. Now we know about your fantasies from V. If he was in costume, would you let him tie you up, whip you around?
Well, you ignorant fool. He was one of the humans. He was not one of the visitors.
Oh, okay. No tying up then.
Do the research. I'm like a QAnon person who's always like, do the research. Oh, I'm like, do the research about the TV show V. Maybe I'll join QAnon and try to work that in. They're like, oh, this is the guy who always posts about how it's like we should work V into things. I'm like, I'm just trying to get the word out about V, because the movie White Squall is like a key film in the QAnon folklore. Really? That's such a random film. I could get V back on the map. I mean, by participating in an odious conspiracy theory, but look, if it gets a remake made, I'm there, brother. Mickey Jones, though, he died February 7th, I think, 2018.
Really? How do we miss that one?
I don't know, but this year I'll be marking the occasion.
That's good to hear.
By shooting Bob Dylan. I don't know why.
And the other thing is, what is turbinium?
Well, they say they just want our turbinium so they can zap things from space.
Yeah, what does that mean? What does that mean?
It's like a fuel that lets you shoot like lasers from satellites or something.
It's a lot of conjecture right there.
I mean, that sounds pretty credible to me.
Well, you're an expert in all things lasers, so
that is true.
I'm on board.
What's this?
What's that? It's a laser, and I'll burn a hole right through you.
Okay, be careful.
I love the next scene, though.
Oh, me too.
Just the little interaction with Cohagen and Richter.
Why we should just perform this scene?
Did I write? You're the better actor. What does Cohagen say?
Richter, do you know why I'm such a happy person?
No, sir.
Because I've got the greatest job in the solar system. As long as the turbinium keeps flowing, I could do anything I want. Anything. The only thing I ever worry about is that one day, if the rebels win, it might all end. And you're fucking making it happen!
That was good delivery. I would clap. That was great. I love the way he says that too. And you're fucking making it happen.
Oh, yeah.
I love Richter's face too.
Because he really lulls you in. I didn't really capture it, but he really lulls you in where you're like, it seems like he's okay. Like he's actually like in a great mood. And then he's like, you're fucking making it happen.
Yeah, he also knows. They also are talking a little bit about Quado. They don't know much about him.
Yeah, they say he's psychic, so he might be able to get what's inside Quaid's head.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. So, but Cohagen has a plan. What's Cohagen's plan? Do we know? Do you have any idea what Cohagen's plan is?
I mean, Quaid's plan is basically just the film. It's like everything that happens to Arnold, he's like, yes, that was my plan.
Except until the very end. Actually, I think he did plan for that to happen because he was there waiting. So I guess you're right.
Cohagen and Palpatine. Oh my God. Emperor Palpatine. They're like, I planned everything. How did it end up fucking me?
Yeah. Like you made the comparison to the gadgets of James Bond. The villain's also very James Bond-esque.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in the scene where they got Arnold strapped in again and they just monologue and then leave. It's like, he's right there. Just watch what happens.
At the Arnold checks into the Mars Hilton.
Yeah,
it's a great little moment here. Checks in
everything. That's our podcast. A great moment here. Great moment.
Checks in as Mr. Brubaker, famously the film with Robert Redford.
Did you ever see the movie Brubaker?
No, I was just reading your notes.
I wonder if that's deliberate that they chose that character's name because Robert Redford in the movie becomes a warden, but he like infiltrates his own prison to find out how it works and how to make it better.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I feel like there's a bit of infiltration in this movie and stuff.
There's a kind of unintentionally funny moment where he gets the safety deposit box, and inside the safety deposit box that's been left for him is only like a flyer for the last resort, which is the sex club or whatever where Melina works.
Yeah.
And it says, for a good time, see Melina. So then Arnold was like, can I borrow a pen? And he writes Melina in his handwriting, just to make sure that it's the same handwriting, which is cool. But the funny thing about the scene to me is that the guy is just staring at him the whole time. So I feel like that desk clerk like went home later that day and his wife was like, how's work, honey? And he's like, that's not the weirdest thing. The guy, he wrote, it's like, I can't get out of my head. I just don't understand it.
Yeah. I mean, I assume, he had his memories erased, but he probably would still recognize his own handwriting, but maybe needs to be sure.
He's got to show us, the audience.
Yeah, that's true. We're just stupid. We're on the ride. We don't know what's going on. That actor though, that played the hotel clerk, he looked familiar too, but I couldn't place him.
Okay. Did you look it up?
No, I didn't have time for that. I did look it up, but it wasn't anything that I recognized. I don't know. I didn't write down his name though. It wasn't important.
And you think people should be paying for this content?
Well, they're not paying for this content.
Imagine if you found that I had a Patreon set up. Someone's like, oh, I love the Patreon. And they're like, what? And then like, you're like, $12,000 a month. You're like, and I'm like, Rusty, I got 5 kids to feed. Which is a perfect segue to introducing Benny, who makes his first appearance in this scene.
I assume he was always a cab driver and that Cohagen just got to him, right? He wasn't like planted as a cab driver.
Yeah.
Because he has that feud with the other cab driver. So, I mean, unless they were both planned.
But then when he kills Quado, it feels like he's like
more
a deeper agent, because he's like, you led us right to him. Like, I don't think if he was just like a cab driver that they've paid off, I don't think he'd take that kind of satisfaction.
Yeah. 5 kids to feed. I mean,
it's a lot of kids.
It worked though. He got Arnold's empathy.
I mean, he keeps saying that line, and then later when he says, I got 4 kids to feed, it's one of the only moments that reads a little false, because like it's only to set up Arnold being like, what happened to number 5? And then him being like, I ain't even married. But it seems like he wouldn't make that mistake. But welcome to Mars. The rebels are at it again. Like another gun battle breaks out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Why would you want to go to Mars as a tourist? It doesn't seem like you can do anything. It's like, you sit in a hotel, you have some lunch, you go sit in your hotel room again. And plus, you have to be on the ground the entire time. Like, it just doesn't seem economically feasible to travel to Mars.
Man, that's like that Suze Orman segment. Can I afford this? Remember? And it's like Arnold's like, I want to go to Mars. And she's like, you're working, you got a jackhammer, you're in a construction job. You can't afford Mars, baby. That's a, oh boy, shoot me, kill me.
Oh boy, I don't even know what to say to that.
I don't know either. So he travels to the Venusville district.
Mm-hmm. That could be a high school reunion for us.
What? Oh, all the mutants. It's like a mutant like grabs our hand. It's like, you're a Taurus, right?
Eddie, welcome back to high school. You know, I looked up those actresses that plays the Madame Fatima, the psychic, and then her daughter.
Mm-hmm.
They grew up. I mean, the daughter grew up to be pretty attractive.
Oh,
So
that's
who
great
knew?
to hear.
That's great to hear. So she overcame.
Well, I guess she knew.
Yeah, she did. Well, she says, I bet I could guess your birthday. And she says Taurus. So that's this astrological sign. But wouldn't it be more impressive? I mean, I have a 1 in 12 chance of guessing your sign, but birthday, it's a little more challenging.
Yeah.
Hit me with the goods. Hit me.
My question is, there's a Jack in the Box there. That was always weird to me.
Yeah. That's like the only product placement in this movie. And it's in the sleaziest part of the fucking planet.
Man, they should have got Jack, the guy with the big ball head. They should have gotten him for this film. Imagine how many bullets he could have taken if he was that guy in the elevator. And then when Arnold threw him away, he's like, hey, jack off.
That's such a bad good joke. Wait, what is he like a mutant though? Would you say, or he just has that big head? Or
Yeah, he's a mutant, and it manifests like in a big circular beach ball clown head. And it's just like when he's taking all those bullets, it's like pop, 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 pop. Oh boy, what an image.
I'll remember that sound effect too. Give him the bone crunching action in the shooting in the big Jack in the Box head. So Venusville. Then he tells Benny to take him to the last resort.
He's like, you're getting an early start.
Here's one of the most famous scenes.
Oh yeah, big time.
Famous moments, I should say, because everybody. I'm overselling it. Maybe I'm overselling, but everybody talked about this.
Yeah, of course.
When Arnold walks into the last resort, he's approached by Mary, one of the regulars there, and she immediately reveals herself as the three-breasted woman.
Yes.
And people for years speculated about that. And you know what the speculation was?
What?
Which of her breasts were the real ones?
That's so dumb, turns out, because it's so clear that they're all fake.
But don't forget, at the time when you saw this on VHS, it was more grainy.
Oh yeah.
So so it wasn't like high definition. Now there was some mystique about it.
Man, I watched this on Sega CD. That I thought everyone had three breasts. They did it.
Did you even have a Sega CD?
No.
Oh man. Missed out.
Mel is hanging out with Tony. This is where we get the line we were talking about. Both lines.
You know Melina so well. We just call her Mel.
Oh yeah.
Oh, this is amazing. Wait, what are we talking about now with the line with the blonde? Let's talk about the blonde.
We'll just say all the lines. Then Tony is like, got a lot of nerve showing your face around here. Look who's talking.
I always had a problem with Tony. I didn't like Tony, and I didn't like the mutant guy with like the square, boxy nose.
Oh yeah, me either.
He had like the smushed forehead and the moxie. I was always like that. These guys bother me. I could handle the three-breasted woman. I could handle Madame Fatima.
Oh, the smushed face guy reminded me of the chin guy from Nightbreed. He'd be like, oh, you might not know this, but I got a brother back on Earth. Yeah, he lives in a city of monsters. I did not hear of that. Yeah, it's pretty obscure, dude. You gotta have like a bad dream to end up there. I don't remember the exact details.
Wait, who's having this conversation? The two of them?
Arnold. No, Arnold and the guy. What do you mean, City of Monsters? I want to go there. Hey, buddy, you just got to Mars. Settle down.
Yeah.
Get your ass to Meridian. That's a movie I always wish is better. I tried to love it as a kid.
I
totally recently
agree.
watched the director's cut, and I was like, it's going to be amazing. Then it's like, who is this lead who I've only ever seen in one film?
Who is the lead in that again?
I don't know. The guy who plays Booth.
The guy who plays who?
Booth, I think his name is.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Boo from from Teen Wolf.
You always think that.
I do. I always have Boof on the mind. Night Parade. Craig Sheffer.
Oh, really?
Craig Sheffer's in a ton of things. Nothing you probably ever seen. All my favorite footage of the rock aliens, which I've been pushing on you forever.
I just saw someone tweeted about it that it's now on Amazon Prime, I believe.
Really, that is amazing. That might be my next pick. Who knows? Yeah. So when Melina spies him, though, she's just like, "Oh, nice, he returned." She thought he was dead.
Yeah.
She thought Cohagen tortured him to death. But the problem that Arnold has, or Quaid has, is that he doesn't remember her. He doesn't even remember himself. So we think the girl of his dreams, literally, doesn't want anything to do with him. And he has some connection to her, and he doesn't know what it is. But then he comes back out, and Benny says to him, "Hey, you ever fuck a mutant?"
I have. May 2003, Las Vegas.
Is there a story behind that, or just leave it as that?
Not a story I'll be telling. So then he's back in the hotel. He gets another great scene here.
Oh my goodness!
Kind of a great sequence. There's a knock at the door. Dr. Edgemar. Now, my question about Dr. Edgemar, earlier he was in the commercial for Recall. Did they really think that guy had a face for television? I mean, I guess he did because he was an actor in this film. But
was he from Growing Pains? He was on Growing Pains, right?
He had a long career. This actor's name was Roy Brocksmith. He died December 16th, 2001, Rusty, Burbank, California. He was in Tales from the Crypt, 3 episodes. He was 6 episodes of It's Gary Shandling Show.
This guy's reading poorly.
Scrooged. He's in Scrooged. He played Mike the Mailman.
You should just fuck with our listeners and just read his entire credits on IMDb because there's a lot. Coach. He was on an episode of Coach.
He was in now this is a great credit. He was in the film Wolfen as Fat Jogger in Park.
That's horrible casting.
But it says as Ray Brocksmith, but that was his name. So does that mean that he was credited as his own name? They were like, we're either going to call you Fat Jogger or just call you. Yeah.
Oh, he's on Wonder Years too. Weird Mr. Lemker. He's also on that TV series of Ferris Bueller.
You're not going to believe that he wasn't in the film Alligator, because in the film Alligator, there's a guy a lot like him.
Well, that's our next episode, so we'll find out.
Get excited for that. So yeah, so this very famous scene where the doctor has come to convince him that he's still at Recall, suffering from a schizoid embolism, and he's been artificially implanted as an emergency measure to try to talk him down and get him back in there. Yeah. He takes out a red pill, the famous term being red pilled. Comes from the Matrix, but it also could come from Total Recall. No. And then he's like, someone else is here, and Lori, Sharon Stone, shows up, and she's like, come back to me.
I mean, Quaid's smart enough. There's no way he's falling for this when she's coming in pleading like that. Like, I love you, honey. And fucking Edgemar sweating.
Well, that's the thing. I love this moment where he's like, so I could pull this trigger and like nothing happens. And he's like, oh, I would be fine. But you like, and he gives like a whole speech. Yeah. But then like when Arnold sees that bead of sweat, he just blows this guy's fucking brains out. That's just, man.
This poor guy, this guy's just a paid actor. He's just like, you have to go in there. He knows you from Recall commercials, like talk about it. This is like your spiel. This guy's like, is there any danger for me? Is this guy like going to go off the rails and do something to me? They're like, no, you'll be fine. Lori will be there. This guy gets killed. I hope it was worth it.
So they knock him out. He takes another balls beating. Get stomped.
Yeah,
takes another beating.
Balls get stomped twice, I think, in this scene, right? But, yeah, she's like pissed about having to come to Mars. She hates Mars.
Yeah.
Quaid's never even been to Mars, according to her. She hates it. And then his unconscious body is dragged into the not lobby area, but the area for the elevator.
Yeah.
She calls Richter up, and she's thinking, Richter's going to come up, pick him up, and take him to Cohagen. But nope, Melina has returned.
There's a great, just like really well edited how it's like Richter's on the bottom floor and watching the elevator going up. They're watching the elevator coming up, and then when the doors open and it's Melina, it's a nice surprise.
Yeah.
I've seen this
I like-
movie a billion times, and I forgot that it was going to be Melina in the elevator.
I like the character of Melina. I don't necessarily love the look of Melina,
Me either.
but I mean, she's pretty badass, and she's very consistent throughout this whole movie.
Yeah.
Like she was never like the damsel in distress love interest kind of thing. She was just badass,
no.
and she always had she had her Quaid's back and like delivered.
So, they have this whole fight, and then it ends with Arnold, Lori has Melina down, and she's like about to cut her throat, and Arnold goes to shoot her, like he's got his gun on her, and she's like, "Come on, honey. After all, we're married." And then she's reaching for a gun, and he shoots her in the head, and he says, "Consider that a divorce." One thing I learned is that at first he said, "Consider this a divorce," and then shot her. But it felt too brutal if he had a line and then killed her. It had to be a kill and then the line.
Yeah. I mean, either way, I would have been fine with. But
yes, me too.
I do feel like Arnold became somewhat of a parody of himself with his one-liners, where they became cheap and like just thrown in there, where these are almost natural in a way.
Yeah, the only one that's not that natural, but you still need it, is when he's like, "Benny, screw you!" That's almost like the moment when like the one-liners like crossed over to parody.
Oh, I'm gonna squash you. Hey, where the fuck you go? He's just like, but yeah, I don't know. I know what you're saying, but I still kind of like it for some reason.
So they escape, and then this is kind of a weird moment here because Helm really has a clear shot at them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why I didn't take it.
I guess
he's more in on what Cohagen's desires are and plans.
Yeah.
Like Richter's just fucking off the rails, and Richter's just now at this point completely like set on vengeance. But like, yeah, Helm I think is more just part of the program. Like, we got to take him alive. I can't do this. But he could have said freeze and see what happened. Yeah. But yeah, so they get away, and they're going back in circles, and they meet up with Benny again.
Oh yeah.
And Benny wonders how many times does he say, "I've got 5 kids to feed."
Benny is like one of those old toys that you would pull with the string, and it'd say like 7 things.
Just keep getting stuck on the same one. Yeah, no, Benny's helping him, and now like what we think that he's helping them, he's on the lam now too. They know that he's part of their group.
I always found it really satisfying when they come running back into the last resort, and clearly because this is like a guerrilla rebel kind of place, like they've got a system, Oh
yeah.
So like they run into the secret passage, like Dean Norris, the way he waves them in was like, here. There's something funny about like his mannerism there is funny. But then they set up the table next to it, and like everyone's like acting casual. You're like, oh damn, they really did that.
These guys are professionals. But yeah. And then like everybody's quiet, the music's like stopped, and Richter and Helm walk in with the military. Mary comes looking for some trouble here.
Oh yeah, Mary walks right up. She shows Richter her boobs, and then when she turns around, she just blasts her.
That's so true to Richter now, especially since his girlfriend is killed.
Oh yeah. There's one funny moment in Michael Ironside's performance. In the earlier scene, before he sees Sharon Stone, he walks in and like looks at all the bodies. He does like a weird thing with his like where he raises his eyebrows. I don't know if you noticed this, where he's like, "Whoa, like this is one bloody scene," and then he notices her.
Yeah,
it's really funny. Next time you watch this,
I'll do it right after we record this.
Yes. They're just destroying they're just murdering everyone in this bar. But Cohagen says, "Pull out," and they pull out. All the doors are closing. Melina, Benny, and Arnold manage to get underneath the door, and the air generators turn off. This is a great intro into like the third act, basically. Yeah. All the mutants. Everyone knows like we're out of air. We're fucked.
Yeah, their morale is like instantly like lowered. Like they're just defeated at this point. Like you think like they had to have planned for this day to come eventually. That something was going to happen. I mean, Tony does explain it a little bit to Quado, the guy that plays Quado. Mm-hmm. which we'll get to in a minute. But I mean, here's Benny's time to shine, because this is where we find out that Benny is also a mutant.
Benny's arm, I think I said this earlier, but it really looks like something from The Thing or something. You could really tell it's the same special effects artist as The Thing.
Yeah. I always thought it was cool the way he like takes off the hand, like unscrews the hand,
Yeah.
and then he like opens like his mutant hand up, his arm. Cool looking. But as they're doing, I mean, right before that, the rebels are just like waiting behind the bodies in the catacombs.
Oh yeah, these were the first settlers that were buried there because Cohagen gave them cheap domes, right? Is that the thing?
Yeah.
Like the ones who survived became mutants, and then
is that what's happening to us right now on Earth?
I think so. I mean, it is very Cohagen is very Trumpian. It's just
but Cohagen's much more likable.
That's true.
I guess those, I don't know, 70 million people out there disagree.
But just thinking about like the way that when the air turns off, that's like stopping giving a fuck about the pandemic. Just like you're watching the fans just like.
But I like that once the fans go off, everybody just like walks out into like the streets there and just like look up. It's like, yep, we're fucked now. That's it. No more fortune telling days for me.
All right, it's Quado time. Let's keep going.
Let's go.
What's up with Quado?
Well, Quado Quaid has a date with Quado. He takes him to another room and he's talking to him and he says like, Quaid thinks the guy is Quado. He's just like, oh, you're Quado, right? He's just like, no, Quado's a mutant. So don't be like shocked when you see him.
He says, don't be upset when you see him, which I love because it's like, don't be upset when you see him. Arsh had been like, I've seen like 9,000 people die today and I killed like 3,000 of them.
Yeah.
And so Quado was a David Cronenberg creation?
Yeah. It looks like it would be. Like you could see
that.
Yeah,
it does.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, Quado was one of those characters I never liked.
Me either. He turns me off. The way he looks turns me off. I was upset when I saw him. They said, don't be upset when you see him. I was.
He's a boner killer if you ever need something. Just looking at him.
Quado, so unappealing looking. It's like he must see Baby Yoda and he's like, hey, like, how do I be like successful like you? And Baby Yoda's like, oh, get this little guy, get this creepy guy away from me.
Yeah, Baby Yoda even has better powers. It's not like Quado's got some good powers, but like he doesn't have that force stuff.
And they're both like in the psychic field. They probably did know each other in the extended universe.
If you had to, you remember that game, Fuck, Marry, or Kill?
Yeah.
Quado, Tony, are the brick-face mutant. What's your choice selection there?
Wow. I've got to marry Tony. So I guess I'll fuck the brick-face guy and kill Quado.
I guess I'll fuck the brick-face guy.
I'm not going to imagine marrying Quado. He's like,
well, you got to marry the guy.
Do you want to watch Peep Show again? He's like, I knew you would say that.
Yeah, but he'll help you remember everything, though.
So Quaid opens up his mind, which is basically reveals to us that there's the alien artifacts we've been hearing about. It's a reactor that will melt the ice in the planet core, and release the air.
Give this people air.
But I love how Cohagen calls it a piece of junk.
Yeah,
it's just like that's a weird thing to say.
That's some of the most sophisticated technology from 500,000 years ago. I like the way they scientist guys. It's like 500,000. Yeah, 500,000.
It's such a great character detail that Cohagen says that because it's just like Trump. Like if aliens were found, like Trump's first reaction would be like, I don't like their gray skin, their big eyes, you know, like they'd be like, no wonder. Like with those kind of people, there's no wonder.
Yeah. What are you wondering about aliens? What are you doing?
Beat me up, dude.
Beat me up, dude.
Take me to your dealer, your spaceship dealer, and let me fly away.
Excuse you while you kiss the sky.
I mean, human shit must be so rare to them that like you'd be like, I'll trade you some of my fingernails for like a spaceship. They're like, oh, like alien fingernail. Like this is that's big.
Your pubic hair.
It's like, welcome to Mos Eisley Cantina. It's about to get a lot more gross in here.
Yeah, the rebels are busted now, and it's all Benny's fault. We find out because, like you said before, he tells the story that he doesn't have.
Yeah, Benny is yet another plant.
I like that though. That it's like to Arnold. Like Arnold trusted him for a bit, even though he shouldn't
Yeah.
have. Like he had no affiliation with him anyway. But like it was Betty's last like fuck you, man, kind of thing. And I love that we don't even know why he did it. Like we just assume that, like he said, he's a plant or he's like an agent or something.
Yeah.
But we don't even know why he told him the story of the 5 kids. I guess it was just to earn his trust, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
I mean, I wouldn't give a fuck if somebody told me they had 5 kids.
Nah.
But Quada's last before he's executed, he says, "Quaid, start the reactor." You know, I wonder if Quaid looked at Quaid, if Quada looked into your mind, he'd probably tell you don't start the reactor. Like, close your mind. Humanity's doomed.
Yes, he would. Great and review.
Sometimes Nova, my daughter, has the mannerisms of Quado that I'm always like, oh, she moves like her arms move like that weird, slow, like outstretched way. I'm just like, God, she could be Quado. If it was Halloween, it could stuff her.
So
in.
Melina immediately loses trust in Quaid. Hauser, we realize here that Hauser was really an asshole, and he volunteered to become Quaid.
Mhm.
And Cohagen explains like all the help he gave him, and
Yeah.
Quaid can't believe it when he sees himself talking to himself.
He really can.
He's like, "Who is it now? My mother?"
Yeah. Another good line. It's
Yeah.
great lines all around. I even like when he's just like Cohagen's introducing or explaining all the help, and like he introduces Benny, and Benny's just like, whatever he does, he like bows.
So they get them strapped into the recall machines. It's good. It's cool that they bring this device back.
Mhm.
So the famous part where Cohagen is like, "Relax, Quaid, you'll like being Hauser," and he's like, "The guy's a fucking asshole," and he's like, "Not true. He's one of my best friends." But that famous line, which we've quoted a million times,
Yeah.
I didn't realize it's all taking place during the same shot,
Yeah.
and it's like the camera is like panning as Cohagen's walking behind the machine. There must have been a lot of takes where it was like, wait, I was too far behind the machine. Let me take that again.
Right before he says that though, is like, if you were on board with Cohagen up until this point, he does have a pretty reprehensible speech about with Melina.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, this guy's disgusting.
Oh yeah, he's like, "You already knew I was an asshole in every way, but I'm also like really sexist."
Yeah. Great villain though. Great villain.
Oh, such a great villain. And then I love Quaid's like, he's like, "Got what you want. Give these people air.
Give these people air."
In
and
5
Quagen's
minutes,
like,
you won't give a shit.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's. I don't know. I mean, we're just in the streets quoting these lines for the movie. They're so classic.
When Richter asks Quagen, he's like, "Is he going to remember this?" And then he punches him in the face. That punch is always so brutal because his head is like strapped into the thing.
Oh, Arnold's so pissed though. He just fucking woke a sleeping giant. He gets out of that machine.
When he gets out of that machine and hits the guy with
this
was the most brutal fight I ever saw. I remember people in the theater just losing their minds.
They were in the aisles doing the same thing. They had that same metal armature shoving into some guy's face.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
I really thought watching this, besides that, I thought this was the most brutal thing I've ever seen, was that like I could actually replicate some of this damage if need be.
Oh yeah.
Don't mess with me. I seen these moves, I could do it too.
Exactly.
Do you think, I guess you could, right? If take a metal stand thing, that armature, and ram it into somebody's face, you could do that, right? Like
Yeah,
through their skull?
I'll try it tomorrow. Let me put that on my to-do list. I've got to check on a package. I've got to email a band about a music video, and I've got to smash this armature through someone's face.
But well, there's a little setup here before. See, this is the thing I had a problem with. Cohagen and Richter like have their whole speech about this, about getting together later on, and Richter kind of says, "I'll see you at the party."
Mm-hmm.
But why didn't they just stick around for the 2 minutes to make sure that they get the implant back and they get whatever they get the?
They're heading to the reactor, and this is when Benny shows up again. So was he just waiting in that rock ripper? He was just sitting there.
Maybe that's what he really did. Maybe he was really a rock ripper driver.
He's like, "Well, driving a cab is basically the same thing as driving a rock ripper. I'll do it. I'm in."
It seems like a G.I. Joe vehicle, the rock ripper.
It does, and so he's like ramming them with this fucking drill machine. the one time, like the very few things bother me in this film, but I hate how Melina is like shooting at it with like a machine gun,
But-
and she's like 1 foot away from it. I was like, these bullets like I don't
Yeah.
feel like I'd want to shoot something that close up when it's like a metal device. I feel like it would ricochet and like hit you.
You know what also bothers me in this scene? I'm not like a skin person. I don't like skin being like ripped apart or picked at or anything.
Mhm.
And when his arm gets torn up by that thing, I don't like that.
Oh yeah.
And he's still going at it. So yeah, we already kind of discussed this scene earlier, so we can just move along.
So
Benny gets
here,
killed.
here we have like basically the last kind of big action scene with a lot of the famous kind of like, you think this is the real Quaid, but on their way walking towards the reactor, this is one of the few. This movie really has effects that completely hold up. This is one of the few effects that don't hold up.
No, it's horrible looking.
It's the matte painting, as you write in your notes, you can clearly see the division between
Yeah.
them, and like it looks very old. Like it looks like Logan's Run, kind of.
I mean, yeah, you could almost see them stopping because that's where the wall is. But it cuts like as you can see, they're slowing their pace up. But yeah, I mean, I'm not like I think we're both in agreement. We're not third act people,
Yeah,
especially with this movie. I mean, the scene was cool enough, but like, I was more along for the ride with the rest of the movie.
oh yeah, of course.
But I mean, we knew that hologram thing was going to come into play, and of course, it's the payoff.
Yeah,
And
but a lot of great little moments. You know, I like how he
Yeah.
tosses it to her, and she has her moment.
yeah,
Basically, just a fun gun battle. One last fun gun battle,
yeah.
and then the famous thing where he goes up the elevator, and the arms get ripped off.
Is this the most famous line from what would you say is the most famous line from this movie?
I think that's impossible. That's like, could you identify the most famous U2 song? There's so many famous songs, you know?
Beautiful day, all day.
I mean, obviously Sunday, Bloody Sunday.
No, with or without you, without a doubt.
So he kills Richter. His last challenge is to turn on the reactor, but of course Cohagen's there. They have their little battle as the atmosphere is getting sucked out.
Yeah,
He turns on the reactor. That's great craftsmanship that it still works.
yeah. Half a million years later, it's still working. Things from like the early 1900s doesn't work now.
Fucking everything's blowing up. What?
Do you realize how long ago a half a million years was?
Yeah, it was March. I remember that.
It feels that way, right? But that is some like remarkable alien craftsmanship for it to last. Like the Roman Colosseum was built 1,000 years ago, and that's barely standing. And they
Yeah.
got that's not even covered with dust. It's as clean as a whistle.
I'm sure if I tried to hook up my Dreamcast, it might not work. Which brings me to Rusty. I really want to point out that the reason you got Chuck Liddell for me for cameo for my birthday was because we used to always play that amazing UFC game on Dreamcast. Not
Mhm.
because I am into the UFC in real life, but man, what a great game that was!
That was a great game.
And we were so good at it. Like those games would last hours and hours. It'd be like
Yeah.
the nature footage of like two ants fighting, and it's like 25-hour long fight. That was like me and you.
It started to get stressful though because there would be epic matches.
Oh yeah, really, it was wow. I wonder if anyone else in the world ever played that game.
The one thing I would say, I don't know if it's interesting, so I'll be brief about it, but you could create your own characters, and you created this guy that you worked for, I guess,
Mhm.
that we called Fishy Bob, and I hated losing to him, that character.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I had a weird jealousy of Fishy Bob.
So everyone's happy now. There's a blue sky on Mars, just like they predicted.
Dream. It's all a dream. Accept it. Do you think the norms will accept the mutants now? Do you think they'll coexist together?
No, it's going to just be a bloodbath on that planet now. It's just like whenever a dictator is removed, it's like complete like civil war between like 40 different organizations.
Planet of the Apes kind of thing. They're never getting along. Was that supposed to be Olympus Mons in the background?
What is Olympus Mons? I only know it from the Pixies song.
It really? I don't really know the Pixie song, and I know a lot of Pixie songs. What is?
Bird Dream of the Olympus Mons. I love that song.
Oh, Really, I like. There's a lot of obscure Pixie songs I like, and I have to listen to that one. But anyways, Olympus Mons is actually the tallest known volcano in our solar system.
Really?
You know that?
And it's on Mars?
It's on Mars, and it's so big, and it has such a gradual slope that if you were standing at the base, you would not be able to see the summit because it would be beyond the horizon.
What? Wow.
It's fucking huge, man. Look at a graphic. For everyone out there, look at a graphic of Mars. It's gigantic.
Wow. Well, and you got to listen to that Pixie song. It's like
Yeah.
the recurring line is "Into the Mountain," and I
Well-
always think of that Germanwings flight when I listen to it. That flew into the mountain.
I'm going to listen to that after this. Remember when in our earlier episodes where we had tons of clips, we probably would have played the whole song right now.
Yes, we would.
Oh, glad I'm not doing that anymore. Imagine there's somebody out there that's like, oh man, they were so much better when they used clips.
Oh, I don't think there's anyone saying that. So then it fades, like the final lines, which are great. Like he's like, I just had a horrible thought. It's like, what if it's all a dream? And then she's like, well, you better kiss me before you wake up.
That is a good line. That's a great
It is.
moment.
I mean, that's like
You
a
know-
classic movie moment.
I do feel like because the way it fades out into that like to the white, I feel
Yeah.
like he's like being pulled out of the recall dream, out of the implant.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, that's my take on it, but maybe it's just a happy little ending. Who knows? The real thing is now we have to name all the people that perished during the sequences in this film. Start with the Harry backpack guy.
yeah, he's like, Arnold is like, I am wanted for 9,000 murders.
Yeah, how does he resume a normal life after that? He's got a lot of blood on his hands, probably a lot of warrants for his arrest on Earth and Mars.
I mean, him and Tony are probably like let's try to become like the new presidents of Mars. And they launch like a brutal campaign.
Wait, would Quaid be hailed as like the person that transformed Mars, or is he just
he would have to. He'd become like a messiah figure.
Yeah. I wonder if he would get credit. He's like, all I did was push the reactor button. Or would he be like, yeah, I did it. I'm not telling you how.
They're like, how do you figure out to make his hand into like 3? The way he put like his fingers.
Yeah. That was always interesting to me.
Yeah, me too. Well, we blabbed about Mars. There you have it.
That's a great line. He did it.
On our next episode, Rusty, we will be talking about the classic Jaws ripoff alligator, which I actually had a poster of as a child.
That explains everything about you.
Sun shines in the dusty morning, skyline of the Olympus Mons.
Fucking asshole.
Not true. I think about it sometimes.
Fucking asshole.
Not true. Sun shines in the dusty morning.
One of my best friends.
And a good night. Into the mountain, I will fall. Into the mountain, oh.
See you at the party.